Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network. We're GABNET, and we've got you covered live 5 nights a week. First Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, it's The Exchange.
Let's capture, who are all these people who are watching these cooking shows? They're stoners, right? So I'm wondering, is this a program that Netflix has absorbed? I don't know, what is the purpose of Netflix making a 14-minute show? Now, aside from those 2 interesting facts about this show, the show is fucking terrible. Do not watch this show. It fucking sucks.
Tuesday through Friday at 10 Eastern, join Alex Bennett on the Ramble.
Say goodbye to the unions.
Renee, what was the decision? And then we'll go to Patrick.
It doesn't matter. Just say goodbye to the unions.
No. But I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you what was in the decision yesterday.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay, let him look it up.
Yeah, he'll go look it up at glennbeck.com.
Tuesday through Friday at midnight, The Intersection.
Most high school boys, what have we got on our mind? Sex and girls and girls and sex and sex and sex.
And booze and drugs.
Yeah, the Asian guys I knew in high school, I'm sure they thought that way, but perhaps they were more disciplined about it. Although there was this Japanese girl in high school that your old friend, the Black Avenger, had the hots for. Oh, my God. Be still my sake wanting to drink self.
If you like sports, we've got that too, with The Arena, Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Well, and even if you did that, it doesn't give you the right to grab your Uber driver's private. I mean, and like, what part of that to him sounded like a good idea?
Oh, she played a special song.
Finally, you can get hot and bothered on Connections at 10 p.m. Eastern Monday, and by delay Tuesday through Friday at 1 a.m. Eastern.
Now, of course, you got your Bundy barbecue. We did that here. It's gonna be cool. So we have a few of them out of the state of Florida, right? We got Dating Rawlings.
Sure,
yeah. Yeah, so we can look at that. That'll be fun. So, okay, I don't want to shoot the whole lot right there.
No. I'm sure Dahmer will come up somewhere.
Dahmer! Oh, yeah. He was fun. A looker, too.
Catch up on all the shows with our Weekend Flashback. All shows have the Citizen Panel, an exclusive concept of GABNET. It's new. It's daring. It's talk like you've never heard it before. You love GABNET. You love the hosts and the Citizen Panels. In fact, you wish you could take them wherever you go. On your computer, log on to gabnet.net, where our stream is available around the clock. On your TV, GABNET is available on Roku with the same around-the-clock stream, plus all the latest episodes of GABNET programs, old favorites, videos, and tons of celebrity interviews. When you're mobile, we're on your iPhone or iPad with podcasts accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, and that same around-the-clock stream on TuneIn. If you don't want GABNET wherever you go, well, the hell with you. Go ahead, listen to your old-fashioned talk shows that do things in the same old predictable way. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be having fun listening to talk like you've never heard it before on GABNET.
Hi, everybody. This is Alex Bennett, and I've had a long and interesting trip. It's called life. And for years, people have demanded that I write a book about it, and while I've been a writer, my main talent has always been that of a broadcaster. Over a year ago, I decided not to write the book, but using my best skill, I decided to tell it. It's called Life in the Passing Lane, and I described it as an audio biography. It's presented in 30-minute chapters, so it's easy to binge listen. And you can access it on the GABNET page by clicking on Life in the Passing Lane and going to a page with every single episode, plus some extras. If you want to access it on your mobile device, that's easy too. It's on iTunes. It's Life in the Passing Lane, an audio biography by me. I'm Alex Bennett.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! Hey there, everybody. How are you? It's Bennett, and I'm here with the Ramble. We go from now until midnight Eastern Daylight Time. So no matter where you are in the world, if it is if it's 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, which would be any one of a number of different times around the world, then hey, welcome to our fine little show. Okay, all right, okay, good. Anyway, just want to adjust my levels here. How are you? There is no Marjorie tonight. The reason being, she didn't want to do the show. She said, I don't like those people anymore, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. So, maybe I know what I could do. I could put something in that chair. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Yeah, here we go. We can do this. Here we go. There we go. So, the Trumpy doll. There we go, the Trumpy doll. Every now and then we'll look over at the Trumpy doll and say, how are things going? And Trumpy doll will say absolutely nothing. But there is Trumpy doll. Gee, isn't that cute? That's the Donald Trump doll, bear doll, Trumpy the bear. Okay, that bear cost about $50. Very expensive bear. Okay, so the Trumpy bear is sitting in place of Marjorie tonight because Marjorie doesn't want to do the show. She's in the other room. She's watching TV even as we speak. She's not even watching this show. But so she isn't doing the show tonight. So the show must go on anyway. You know, I got to do a full show on radio this weekend, and I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I'm not going to say fuck. That's for damn sure. Going to be on over 50 stations, 52, 53 stations around the country. Some of them in towns you never heard of. Other places. Let me go back to me. Other places, like Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, California, Philadelphia, Chicago, and we're on WLS in Chicago. If you want to hear it, hear me absolutely blow it. Okay, all you have to do is go to WMAL.com. They carry it, and there's a button up at the top that says like listen live or something like that, and you just click on that and you'll be able to hear the show. And you can even click it before the show starts because you'll get to hear their programming. But their programming is on that channel. WMAL.com is the best place to go for it. There are a lot of other places I could point you, but any number of radio stations that carry it. But we're on also in, Ronnie's going to be on the show, so she can hear us in Portland. And Will Durst is going to be on the show, and he can hear us in San Francisco on KKSF. And as I say, WLS Chicago, WMAL Philadelphia. I have a whole list of the stations here. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me get... As long as I've got to talk for the next half hour, giving you a list of radio stations could be a real great idea here. Let me see here. Where's that list? Is it here? Is it even here? I don't know if it is. Wait a minute. Let me see here. Oh, there we are. There's the list. Here they are. Here are all the stations. These are not all of them. Like the Portland isn't on here and the San Francisco isn't on here, but the rest of them are. And here's all my papers for this weekend, so I know all the various things I need to know. Okay, let me see here. I'm only going to name I'll name some of the smaller markets too. Chicago, WLS AM and FM 2. Philadelphia is WPHT, and in Washington, yes, in Washington it's WMAL. That's what the station in Washington is, WMAL. We're also in Dallas, Fort Worth at WBAP AM. Let's see here, Prescott, Arizona. Don't forget Winona, Barstow, San Bernardino. Yeah. Let's see here, Tampa, St. Pete. We're all going to be on down there on WWTK. St. Louis, KMOX, which I believe is the station. If I'm not, I may be wrong. Is that the station that Ronald Reagan was on when he was a kid? Anyway, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas. We're on in Jacksonville. We'll be on in Roanoke, Lynchburg, Albany, Schenectady, Troy up north here, Spokane, Washington, Paducah, Cape Girardeau, Harrisburg. Let's see here, Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, Tallahassee, Yakima, Pasco, Richland, Kennewick. I guess that's they don't have anything to put on. So Youngstown. Let's see here, Topeka, Kansas. Okay. I've been to Topeka. Used to go spend my Christmases in Topeka when I was with friends with Newtek. Palm Springs, Anchorage, Sioux City, Wichita Falls, Elmira, Bend, Oregon, Twin Falls, and it says blank blank. It says here, but there's some stations listed there, so I don't know what that is. But anyway, those are some of the stations we're going to be on. There may be one in your area. Tune in and listen to me just absolutely blow it, okay? It's going to be a miserable 3 hours of radio. But I'm going to do my best and hope that they aren't terribly disappointed. Walter, who you heard here on the show, Walter Sterling, whose show it is, said to me, just be Alex Bennett. Go be your irreverent self and just do what you do. And then he suggested I tell the story about my time at Midnight Blue, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to bring that up. It's not that I'm embarrassed by it. I just don't want to talk about it. But I am going to talk about aging in the first hour. In the second hour, I'm probably going to talk a little bit about how politics has just, gotten just so ugly. But we're not going to get very political on the show because his show isn't political. It's kind of like lifestyle stories, and but I'll do me, I'll do me for the most part and hope that it survives, But anyway, so that's on Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern. So figure it's live everywhere. By the way, it's live everywhere. Alex, you should eat a handful of magic mushrooms about an hour and a half before you go on the air Sunday. The energy would be cheerful. Yeah, sure, I'm going to do that. I never have done drugs on the air. I just don't. I don't believe in it because I don't think I have complete control of my instrument, as it were. And that's the reason why I don't do drugs before a show. A lot of people I knew used to go out and get high. I got high once. This was in Minneapolis before I went on the air. Just I smoked a joint. These were the days when I was first discovering drugs and everything like that. And I figured, it couldn't hurt. I mean, I'm very talkative under pot, and all the wonderful weird things I'll think and talk about. And so somebody called me up and said, so what do you think? And I said, oh, fuck, I don't care. And I went, what did I just say? And from that time on, I never did a drug on the air. One time I was accidentally high, but I've never, ever been on drugs when I do a show since that one event and one other. And I was with Jack Nicholson at the time. And I was interviewing him, and I had taken these things called Dormadinas, which were like, you remember, what do you call it? Quaaludes. Well, Dormadinas in Spain were the Quaaludes of Spain. They were the same thing. You look on it as methaqualone, which was Quaaludes. So I got these in. You could get them in any drugstore in Spain. You could go in and ask for 10 boxes of them, and there were like 10 of them to the box, and they were about a half a dose of Quaaludes. Well, before I ever went to Spain and found that to be true, I did. I had a girlfriend. Her name was Ginger J. Walker. Yes, her name was Ginger J. Walker. Okay, and I called her Ginger J. Walker. Ginger, or Ginger, as they say in Spanish, was in Spain, and she was the babysitter to who was the guy who wrote the phony book on Howard Hughes when he was living there, and he was the babysitter to his kids. And I got to know her here, and we went out to dinner. I remember we went to a Chinese restaurant, and she said, "Hey, you want 2 Dormadinas?" And I said, "What are they?" She says, "They're Quaaludes from Spain." I said, "Well, I don't know." She says, "They only last a couple hours. They don't stay in your system, So if you take one now," and this was like 7 o'clock at night, "you should be just fine by the time you go on the air." And I used to, in those days, go on the air at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I went on the air at 2 o'clock. I took the 2 Dormadinas, and I took 1 Dormadina. And then about an hour later, she says, "How you feeling?" And I said, "Nothing. Nothing's happening. Not a thing." And she said, "Well, would you like to try another one? I mean, it's only like 8 o'clock now, and you still don't have to go on the air till 2. And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll take another one." I took another one. So an hour later, we're driving around. She says, "Got a buzz, huh?" I said, "No, nothing, just nothing." She says, "Well, it's 10 o'clock. If you took one now, it'd probably be out by the time you go on the air at 2. You want another one?" I said, "Sure." I dropped another one. Okay. Now it's getting to be midnight, and it's time for me to kind of leave her off because I've got to go. Well, maybe she came with me to the studio, but I didn't take any more because it would be too close to airtime, and I didn't want to be high when I went on the air. So I went on the air at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the stuff never hit. It must have been, I don't know, maybe I had some coating in my stomach or something, but it didn't hit. And so at 4 o'clock in the morning, I've got for an interview in the studio Jack Nicholson, and it was like the second time Jack had ever done my show, and I was like, nothing was happening. And all of a sudden, while I'm interviewing him, these 3 Dormadinas decide to hit all at the same time. And I start spacing out. And if you've ever had Quaaludes, you know exactly how you feel when you're high on Quaaludes. And I'm really stoned and high. And finally, we go to a commercial break, and I go to look at Jack, and I go, "Jack, I am fucking stoned." And he goes, "You look it, pal." Somehow I got through it. I mean, I couldn't do a very good interview because I had no sense of what could I call it? I had no ability at focusing in on the subject at hand. And I got through the night, and that's my interview. And I don't have a copy of that interview, by the way, anywhere. I would love to have it. If anybody knows anybody who has that interview with Jack Nicholson from WPLJ, please get it to me, because I want to hear what I was sounding like that night. And it, as I say, it hit at like 4 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, they all hit at the same time. But people would do these Dormadinas in Spain because you could buy them right over the counter. They weren't illegal in Spain. And they really weren't illegal here because customs didn't know what the fuck they were. I knew some woman who came in with her suitcase full of Dormadinas. There were little blue boxes with about 10 Dormadinas in a little slit. And she brought back, I don't know, maybe 100 of these things. And she goes through customs, and they say, "And what are these?" And she says, "Oh, these are these over-the-counter sleeping pills you get from in Spain." She says, "They're great. you go right to sleep and it's terrific. And they went, oh, okay, go right through, because they didn't have Dormadinas on their list. Now, if they said Quaaludes on them, that would be a different story, but they didn't. And these were like light, half a dose of Quaaludes. And I learned how to speak Spanish by reading the instruction pamphlet in a box of Dormadinas. A little pamphlet came with it, and I was trying to read it to see what it was. It said metaqualone, so I learned that was the Spanish word for Quaaludes. And I learned little words here and there reading the pamphlet that told you, the instruction pamphlet that told you how to do it. So I was really, But anyway, that's a lot of you have heard my Dormadina story, so I promise to never tell it again within, a couple of weeks, okay? So, not a lot of people watching out there. I guess that story bored them. Fuck you. We have a death today, and being that we have a death, I'm going to play this, okay? And this is the real deal, folks.
Hi, I'm Robin Leach with those champagne wishes and caviar dreams, and you're listening to the incredible, the memorable, the wonderful, the one and only Alex Bennett.
Yes, that was Robin Leach, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't sound like that now.
Hi, I'm Robin Leach with those champagne wishes and caviar dreams, and you're listening to the incredible, the memorable, the wonderful, the one and only Alex Bennett.
Okay. And then it would say on Live 105, but I cut that off. Anyway, he died today. Robin Leach. Who out there doesn't know who Robin Leach was? Okay? Most of you, unless you're under a certain age. He had a great show on television. We watched it every week because it gave us a sense of what it would be like to be rich and famous and have all this fabulous wealth and be able to, use it. And so he did this show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And he did it, I think it was in syndication for 11 seasons. And I think he just got tired of doing it. But he wound up being a millionaire, and he moved to Vegas. And he's been living in Vegas for years, writing for the Las Vegas newspaper. And I remember the guy from when he was on the show and did that promo for me. I also remember him from few parties I went to that Al Goldstein would hold at his place here in New York, and Robin would show up for that. And, I have nothing to say bad about the guy. He was a really nice guy. He was a terrific guy. Very cooperative, very nice, very easy to talk to. He was a good person. And it's sad to see him die. Died at 76, If he was tremendously overweight by the time he died, and he got a stroke back in November, and the stroke rendered him, I guess, somewhat immobile, and he eventually died, like just the other day. So, or yesterday, I think it was. But I liked Robin, and he was a nice guy. I remember him as a nice guy, and it's sad to see him go. Now, we got another guy who's is going. You know what we're doing lately? We did it with Aretha, and now we're doing it with this guy. Aretha wasn't dead, but they said she was dying, and so therefore we started doing all these, tributes to her. And all the TV shows were like doing, Aretha's dying, and here, let's play Respect, and here she is on Soul Train, and blah, blah, blah. And they blew their wad a day before she died, and then the day she died, they doubled down on their wad, and so my feeling is, if you're going to praise the person, wait till they die, because you're going to give everybody a double dose of the same thing. Well, it turns out we got the sad news today. Let me read what the John McCain family released the following statement today. Last summer, Senator John McCain shared with Americans the news our family already knew. He had been diagnosed with an aggressive glioblastoma, and the prognosis was serious. In the years since, John has surpassed expectations for his survival, but the progress of the disease and the inexorable advance of age render their verdict. With his usual strength of will, he has now chosen to discontinue medical treatment. Our family is immensely grateful for the support and kindness of all his caregivers over the last year, and for the continuing outpouring of concern and affection from John's many friends and associates, and the many thousands of people who are keeping him in their prayers. I think it's millions, to be honest with you. God bless and thank you all. And so now they're on the air every hour on the hour doing these tributes to John McCain, but he's not dead yet. So when he dies, they're going to have to double down on all the praise and all of that. He's not dead yet. And because he's not dead yet, I say don't put him in the grave early, right? You know, he's going there. He's going to be there. I would imagine in the next couple of days we'll get the news that John McCain is dead. We may get the news any moment because, you know, they may have waited to send this release out till they knew that, you know, the end was near. But this is a guy who's lived a great life, and he is appreciative of it, and a classy guy. Now, I didn't agree with his politics a lot of the time, but I did agree with his bearing and his dignity and his ability to make what is an ugly business a little nicer. And he had some brave moments towards the end, and I just think that, you know, I would have never voted for him for president. I had no intention of it. But, and I think he kind of sold out when he ran for president by bringing in Sarah Palin and so on. But I liked him. I liked his sincerity, his desire to find the truth in certain matters, and I just liked him. And when he goes, he will be missed because he gave class to the Senate, you know, and something it could sorely use right now. And one of his last speeches was a speech he gave to the Senate, yelling and screaming at them about the way they were handling things, you know. And I always had a certain appreciation for his dignity and his class and all of that. I didn't agree with his politics a lot of the time. Did not agree with him. A lot of the time I did, but you know, because he was one of the more liberal Republicans in the Senate. And so I did like him for that, but he still wasn't liberal enough for me to be really happy with him. So anyway, I am just you know, but I'm not going to do an overabundance of stuff here about him until he dies, you know, because they sit there and they just keep waiting. Is he going to die? Has he died yet? Can we talk about him dying? You know. Anyway, so I don't have Marjorie here, and I keep losing people listening to this. I guess I'm just boring tonight. Fuck you. I don't care. I'll go to bed early or something like that, you know. Let me see here. I'm trying to clear out all of these things on the thingy. There we go. Now we're gone. Okay. Now let me turn on the Skype. So if anybody wants to call, there has been a pissing match going on my Facebook page between Ray Renati and Phil Meyer. So I hope they both call tonight, and they can talk about it. In fact, almost everything here that they did, the writing on it, but I'll show you later. Anyway, hey, first up, we get Jason. You know, it's how's it going? Every now and then he gets to call because his wife lets him. Now, let me just let me go. There she is. In fact, we can see her in the background. Wait a minute, I'm trying to. Come on, panel. There we go. There we go. How you doing tonight, Jason?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. You know, went to my physical therapy today. What a waste of time that is.
Was that the new one?
No, that's the old one. But it's a guy I trust, and he's good at what he does.
Chiropractor.
Huh? No.
Chiropractor.
No. As a matter of fact, my doctor recommended that I not go to a chiropractor. He said
your physical therapist recommended that you did.
No, well, he did, but the fact was that my doctor said that a chiropractor could really screw this thing up. He said they could do something decent.
Conflict
but they could also,
of interest.
He said they could clear it. They could do something for it. But under normal conditions, he wouldn't trust a chiropractor with this. That it might exacerbate. Hey, look, out in his garage with his cigar. You smoking a cigar has so much joie de vivre.
I'm in my garage too.
You are? Are you really? Yes.
Yeah. I got booted to the garage because my son, his bedroom is right above my computer room, and he says I'm too loud.
Oh, really? You're too loud.
Who pays the rent?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Rent.
The mortgage, whatever.
Yeah.
I think you're entitled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got your New York Yankees cup.
Yep.
Yep.
Going to Camden Yards tomorrow to see the Yankees play the Orioles.
Oh, really?
Going to be a gorgeous day. Yeah. My wife is still in the Philippines, so trying to fill up my time.
Yeah. So, but the Camden Yards is supposed to be very nice.
It is. It's a beautiful ballpark.
I like ballparks that are ballpark-only ballparks, and I believe Camden Yards is only meant for baseball.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of them today are. Pretty much. All of the newer. Yeah, there's no really. That was a 70s thing. All of those round, ballparks that could be used for anything.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Yeah. Well, also, what they do is baseball is a pretty long season, so they get the use of the place, and then during the winter they can do concerts and stuff in there.
Yeah, they do that at Yankee Stadium. They actually play soccer there. They have to really. They what is it? The New York City soccer football, whatever it is, football club, NYCFC, that nobody knows about, plays at Yankee Stadium during the baseball season. In fact,
during the baseball season.
Yeah,
they think about doing that in Detroit too.
Yeah, they have to arrange it when the Yankees are out of town, and then they have to reconfigure the entire field.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work well. They would love to get out of there because it's a stadium not built for anything but baseball. But
you kind of build a soccer thing right in the middle of it, I guess.
They do, but it doesn't play well because you're not close to the action because they have to do it kind of in the outfield.
Yeah.
So they can't do that in the way a baseball diamond is built, the way it hugs the field.
Yeah.
All of those seats that are behind from like first to third all the way around are far from the action.
Wow.
So it's.
Oakland is still that way.
Wait a minute. Turn up your mic, Kevin.
Oh, it's I probably got it set wrong. Oakland is that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you turn?
They still use a multiple stadium, and
that's an older ballpark. Yeah.
It almost sounds like you're talking out of your computer, not your microphone.
Hit on your computer. Hit where your microphone is on the computer. I'll bet he's.
No, that's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah, that's hot. Yeah,
that's hot.
That's hot.
Probably backwards.
It's just that. Yeah, either that or.
There. Is that better?
Oh, yeah, much better.
It's directional, and I got it the wrong direction. You know how that is. Put it in the wrong hole.
Oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, Oakland is like that, and it sucks for football, which I don't care about because the Raiders, but they screw up the baseball field really bad. The Raiders do.
But they put it back the way it's supposed to be once there's a game.
Yeah, it's all tore up like hell. You see lines across the field and everything else. You got this nice baseball field with football lines going across the middle of it.
Well, let's see here. We have the 49. What is it? The baseball team, the Giants in San Francisco, and the Giants are okay.
Yeah, their stadium is a lot like Camden Yards now.
Yeah. Oh, it's a baseball.
It's beautiful. I've been there.
It's basically a baseball.
Pac Bell.
Yeah, I've been there. It's a nice ballpark.
Oh yeah, with the bay right out in back of it.
Yeah,
see,
Hubby's Cove.
See, Oakland is talking about doing that on the other side.
Yeah, well, I came up with a great idea of what I wanted to do with Pac Bell Park. Is I thought that they should have made it so that when the game is on, they could then disengage from landfall and float it out into the middle of the bay while they're playing the game.
Aren't they going to do that for the Warriors?
That would be
We're going to have it
interesting.
on the pier.
That would be interesting because you got to have running water and you have to have electric. And if there was ever an emergency, it'd be tough to get back to land.
I didn't say it was going to be.
Just have a helipad.
I didn't say it was going to be easy. You know.
I think that'd be awesome.
Boats floating around. That's all.
Yeah. Hi. Our good friend from Hawaii is calling us, and it looks sunny outside.
No, it's not, Mr. Bennett and the Gabnet group. It's not. If I turn my back here, it's raining heavy right now.
Oh, really?
It's supposed to get worse, isn't it, James?
Hurricane, right?
I don't know if you see the water coming down off my roof eaves over here.
Yeah.
But you're on the right side of the island, right?
Yeah, but we're getting whacked right now. The 40-mile-an-hour gusts are blowing pretty darn hard. Renee is probably getting whacked on her side. So the gusts are heavy, 35 to 40 miles an hour, and the water is coming in almost horizontal. I'm cut off from going into town right now for 2 days. We've had, landslides and that kind of stuff. There's no post office delivery Thursday or Friday. The banks are closed. No garbage. So, you hunker down eating, canned tuna, canned sardines, all that good stuff.
What's the rainfall?
Well, you guys like spams.
Ben?
That's good.
We've
Spam.
had in the past 24 hours, I think we had something like, almost 20 inches of rain.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It's, in some areas, it's coming down almost an inch an hour.
And all you're getting is a Category 2, believe it or not.
But we're way on the edge, but we're on that upper right quadrant. The upper right quadrant of the rotating hurricane, we get whacked all the time.
Really?
We pick up the blast from the rain and the wind shear, and also the westerlies that blow in, the trade winds.
Yeah.
Blow in from the west side. They come in on the northwest side. So we're getting kind of whacked. It's Bayfront, if you're familiar with Gila. It's like playland at the beach. It's all flooded.
I think they said that the trade winds was going to push the storm away from the islands.
Yeah, well, it didn't quite do it. And, the storm is only moving about 6 miles an hour. That's another problem. It's moving too damn slow.
Yes, very slow.
Yeah. So it sits there and
right
dumps.
Now it's almost headed to Honolulu. So they're going to get whacked probably later tonight, starting with heavy rain. Maui has got some problems. I guess Mr. Meyer, there are about 4,000 people that are out of power over there right now.
Wow.
And, of course, the airport is shut down. Kahului is shut down. There's no incoming flights from the mainland or even from Japan.
Well, Kahului is Maui, yeah.
And, of course, the Young Brothers, the barges have stopped sailing from Honolulu, so there's no supplies coming into the outer islands. The next shipment will probably go out maybe if the weather, Monday if we're lucky.
Wow.
So also Honolulu, all major ships have put to sea. The Navy fleet has gone to sea. The subs, the attack subs are gone.
Yeah.
The hospital ship is gone. Everybody's hunkering down. Hey, actually, Mr. Bennett, the bars are pretty well filled. I got to tell you that. They're going to float away, man.
Yeah. Keep yourself safe.
James, I assume you have electricity, but you could be on the phone.
But it's been on and off during this day. We've lost it several times for about 5-10 minutes, an hour this morning. Helco's, they pre-positioned all the trucks, the power company, because, we don't have hydroelectric power out here. Everything is burned on diesel fuel. 1970 technology, and they only have enough fuel for 90 days. That's it. Then they got to get another tanker ship that's coming in.
Wow.
It must be Trump's favorite state.
It must be.
Everything.
It is.
Hey, we burn clean oil. We don't burn the dirty coal. Come on, man.
Do you reset your clocks
each time the utilities go off, or are you just giving up?
Say again?
Have you been resetting your clocks each time the utilities
no,
go off?
I got to give it up. I don't worry about stuff like that. I got more major problems. I got to make sure the roof doesn't leak here. The foliage that's behind me doesn't get ripped down. You should see some kind of a downspout behind me that's really throwing out water. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah. You said that was going into a 10,000-gallon holding bin.
Yeah, the holding tank is behind me below it. That's okay. I have two overflow, like a toilet overflow, floaters, which and a sump pump which take out the excess water.
Yeah.
Hey, anyway, I better get out of here. You guys have a discussion going, and I don't want to lose power and cut things out. So anyway, we're surviving out here in country Hilo. We're sort of hurricane weary, but like I said, we got enough canned beer to cover us. Okay.
Well, you got a hurricane, you got a volcano. What else could go wrong?
Exactly. We got plenty of vodka. We got good vodka out here. I got to tell you, man.
Where are the locusts?
Yeah, that's what I was
orange
thinking.
juice and vodka, or an even warm 7-Up covers your pain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep safe.
Okay, so gentlemen, aloha. We'll be seeing you.
Aloha.
Take care. Stay safe.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's James. He calls us from Hawaii, and they're in the midst of yet another cataclysm. Yes, Jason, you have your hand up.
I was just going to say, the way he was describing the storm, I work for the phone company, and I've worked in worse than that.
Well, it's
actually still out there climbing telephone poles and stuff.
Yeah, it's not like it's terrible.
40-mile-an-hour winds, come on, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it's a Category 2. But what's amazing is a hurricane in that part of the world.
Yeah, they usually miss.
No, they usually don't happen.
Yeah, well, they miss the islands.
Here's the climate change.
Climate change
Here's
ain't
the
real.
climate change, and to Donald Trump, who's helping with it.
And to Donald Trump, right?
Yeah, and who's trying
to get rid of all of the national
Hey, will he
parks.
treat them like Puerto Rico if it happens bad?
I think Puerto Rico voted for him. I don't think Hawaii got that he won that state, so I don't think they're going to get any help.
Yeah, well, you know something? Fuck him. Just fuck him.
That's proud. That's a proud moment in our history, right? So state didn't support him, so fuck the state, right? That's the way an American president should behave.
But they're going to get a free McCain cam so they can watch McCain as he descends
as
into
he
the
dies.
next.
That's hilarious, Phil.
Yeah. You don't have a McCain cam? Everybody's got a McCain cam.
Bad timing.
Don't double down on it, Phil. Don't double down on it. Okay.
That's what Trump does.
Yeah, that's what Trump does, and that's why you do it. No, but where was I? I don't know. I don't care.
You were talking about Hawaii.
It's just that we have. They usually don't get hurricanes. It's just not that's not the part of the world for hurricanes. But you can get them anywhere, depending on the weather conditions and depending on global warming. Yes, Jason.
Got to ask Rob a question. So I've had probably about 10 cigars in the humidor for probably at least a good 5 years, and the humidity is probably about 70%. Think they're still good or no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Well, wait a minute. He didn't ask you, Phil. He asked Rob.
I would bet, though, that...
I'm sorry. I forgot Phil is a smoker, too, so...
I would think, though, that after 5 years, that after a while, I mean, they have to be really rare cigars, otherwise they don't really hold up as well. They don't age like you would think they would.
I was just almost debating.
Smoke them, though.
Smoking one.
So go ahead, join me.
As long as
I'll be right back.
As long as they're in a humidor, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to smoke fresh cigars. You don't want to smoke a cigar that was just rolled. It has to age somewhat, but it gets to a certain point after a while where it's not going to. In order for to age it, it has to be. You have to really know what you're doing, otherwise they just sort of lose their flavor.
Explain to me.
I'm at 62%.
That's a little low.
I can't get it up much more. I've got this thing that I soak with the solution, some sort of glycol thing. I have another one in here which I fill with the glycol thing.
Yeah.
And I can't get it past 60, 62.
Well, first of all, you don't even really know that device is it calibrated? Did you calibrate it?
It's digital.
That doesn't matter. It has to be calibrated.
Yeah.
So you don't really know what it is until you calibrate it. The way you calibrate it is you take. Oh crap! I think it's table salt. If you Google it, it'll tell you how to calibrate it. You take a capful of, I think it's salt. I don't remember. It's been a long time. And you put some water in it, and then you take that, and you take the meter there, and you put it inside like a plastic baggie, and you let it sit, and it should get to there. There's an exact percentage that you should get to, and if it doesn't, it's going to get there because the material will bring it there. If your device doesn't show that, you calibrate it up or down to get it there, then you know it's calibrated.
Okay.
But even still, if you can get it past 62, then you might have weak seals, and that I don't know how good that humidor is, but it might have weak seals.
I prepared it, but it might not. And I actually put a little bit of a weight on it. It wasn't a bad one. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to get a pretty decent humidor. Does it really seal?
I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice we've been joined by Jeff. Hi, Jeff. You're just so quiet. You sneak right in there. Your mic isn't on. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
No cigars for me.
Yeah,
today.
yeah. I never could understand cigar smoking. I never could understand smoking.
I don't understand cigarette smoking.
Yeah.
But I like the taste of a cigar, especially when you pair. One of my favorite things to pair cigars with. A lot of people like alcohol. I like good coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you see this.
Really nice.
Wait a minute.
This is supposed to keep it at 70.
This is not interesting for a general audience. Really?
Well, if they smoke cigars,
I mean, you just keep it's good. Nice, you brought it up. You showed us your humidor. Now, drop it.
Google it, Phil. You'll find everything you need to know.
All right, thanks.
I mean, I'm sure there are about how many people out there do you think are really interested in whether your humidor is working or not?
Thousands.
Yeah.
But you can't smoke cigars anymore, can you? With your
Well, occasionally, I probably smoke about 4 or 5 a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What with his with the heart problem? I don't think.
Just in general, I don't know. You get to a certain point, and you start having issues.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
You know what? The cancer that people think that when they smoke cigars, there's no cancer associated with cigars, but there is because the cigar goes through your mucous membrane. And basically, I think it's liver cancer that is exacerbated.
It's the small vessels that you destroy. I think with the smoking, isn't that right, Jeff? There's these really small blood vessels.
That's cigarette smoking, and those are in your lungs, right?
No, they're everywhere. They're your whole circulatory
What I heard
system.
is your liver can be affected by cigars.
Yeah,
because people, they don't think, because you don't inhale, you don't think you're getting anything. But the thing is, if you smoke cigars heavily, and I don't think Rob smokes them heavily. Neither
couple a week.
Couple a week. Yeah, that's not going to kill you.
La
Gloria.
Back up a little bit. Is that a Cuban?
La Gloria Cubana.
Yeah.
Are those
Probably a fake Cuban.
Are Cuban cigars that good?
No, just because it says Cubana doesn't mean it's Cuban.
Are Cuban cigars?
It's a Cuban seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Cuban cigars?
Can I ask?
To be,
I'm just. Oh, geez. Go ahead.
I got a whole box of them.
Phil, go ahead.
Cuban cigars tend to be rolled too tightly for me, and they're very hard to draw on. You find that, Rob?
I've actually don't know that I've ever smoked a Cuban.
And this thing is so dry that I don't think it's going to be a matter if it's too tight.
You might just light it up and the whole thing would go like that. Yeah.
Do you have those in a humidor? Oh, okay. That's right. He said he did.
Yeah. Let's see.
What are you using in the humidor to keep the thing? He's got his thing at 70. I
use heartfelt beads.
Yeah.
Heartfelt beads.
Google them. Check that out.
They're really accurate. They also take humidity out of the humidifier if it gets too humid.
Wow.
Can I do the same thing with my marijuana?
Yes,
I would imagine.
Yeah, but I bet you could.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, the cigar industry has a place to go now. They can go to the marijuana industry and say, hey, we'll sell you all these same kinds of devices.
Yeah. Jeff, he has his hand up. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, somebody was telling me tonight that they take pot oil and they kind of smear it on their skin. You guys know about that?
Yeah,
No.
CBD.
Yeah. Albert was telling us about it because he lives in Florida now where you can go to dispensaries and get stuff, and he says he's been getting the pot oil. And that
I've been doing that for my legs.
And does it help?
Yeah.
I'm asking you, does it help? Not does it make you feel good?
No, it doesn't have any THC in it.
Oh,
that's no fun.
Damn it. Well, then what good is it?
Yeah, I know. I got to go to other stuff for that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just wondering if maybe if I'd started doing a little more pot, it would help my feet. You know.
Why don't you try that cannabis oil? Maybe that'll
because
help.
I can't get it, Phil.
Oh, go
Why?
to Canada.
You can get it. Oh, you can't get it in New
I
York.
thought New York was a medicinal state.
It's a medicinal state, but have you seen the regulations?
No.
You know, you can smoke pot if you're dying. You know, if you've got cancer, oh yeah, you can get it. You know, it's not easy.
But I think CBD you can order online and get it in the mail and all that crap.
Yeah, it doesn't get you high, so.
Michigan just started regulating CBD oil the same as medical marijuana.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm wondering why these states go through this whole thing about medicinal this, medicinal that. Do what Canada did. Just make it fucking legal.
Because that was the only way that they can get people to vote on it to pass it.
Well, I mean, you know, what they do is they believe an old myth about what marijuana is and about, you know, because in order to make it illegal, a guy by the name of Harry J. Anslinger, who was in the federal government, went to the press and had them print all these fake stories about marijuana usage and people jumping out of buildings and so on. This is about if you look at the newspapers in 1933, there wasn't a single article on marijuana. By 1934, there was an article almost every day about marijuana.
And with its roots in hell.
And by
madness.
By 1935, they got it made illegal, which gave Harry J. Anslinger a job for the next 25 years.
Did you make any money off that movie?
No, I did.
What did you just mention?
There was no
Reefer Madness.
There was no money to be made off of it. We did it to give money to what do you call it? Normal.
Oh,
yeah. But
you were able to garner that film or get the rights.
No,
to it
I
or
was
something?
part of a group of people who we took that film and we put it out to the public.
And I thank you for that, because that's how I spent my late teens on Saturday night, going to the midnight showing of Reefer Madness. And getting stoned in the theater.
Actually, the whole thing was started by Normal. They found the film, and then they put it in theaters, and we were just all part of a group that kind of worked on publicity and getting it out there, and you know. But all I'm saying is that by 1935 they had made it illegal, and on his deathbed, somebody said to Harry J. Anslinger, "Did you ever really think that marijuana was dangerous?" He said, "No, I just wanted to get a good job."
So fake news was invented way before Donald Trump.
Oh, go back to Hearst, for Christ's sake.
And then again, too, they are also using the Mexicans to, get their way, because marijuana with their Reefer Madness, it's the Mexicans and the blacks that are doing it, make it illegal.
What am I hearing? Am I hearing a cricket?
That's your audience.
Sorry, that's me. I'm in my garage and there's a cricket in here.
Oh, really? That's cool. Supposedly,
I thought it was here.
Supposedly, we can tell what the temperature is by how many
chirps they do per second.
Yeah, or a minute or something like that. Yeah.
Good luck.
You know, I mean, marijuana. It was amazing what they did with that. You know, And so to this day, people feel, oh, we've got to go through all these hoops and everything to make it legal. I mean, what's the big deal? It's not fucking dangerous, and it grows naturally out of the ground.
So do poison mushrooms.
Jesus, Phil.
Well, those are poison.
Those are poison. That's why they call them
The biggest thing right
poisonous.
now, too, though, with making it legal is not that, we've made it illegal. It's a national or international treaty with other countries. And that's where they need to be able to back out of the treaty.
You know where that treaty came from? A little guy by the name of Harry J. Anslinger, who went to the UN and had them pass a resolution that no country would legalize marijuana. Now, some countries like Spain have marijuana available, and you can use marijuana, but they never legalized it. They decriminalized it.
How about the Netherlands?
Will you let me finish, Phil?
All right, fine.
Jeez. God, every time I'm saying something, you interrupt. Go ahead. What were you going to say that was so important, Phil? Go ahead. Because I forgot what I was going to say.
He took out his earbuds.
Huh?
He took out his earbuds.
And now he went into a hissy fit and hung up. So
He's a goner.
Yeah. I mean, come on, Phil.
Hey, he has a heart condition.
Huh?
Be easy on him. He has a heart condition. Be easy on him.
Yeah.
Maybe he can't take it.
Let me see here. Is he still on or not? I have no idea whether he's still...
I think he's still on, because if he wasn't...
He's still on. He just turned off his picture.
Just turned his picture.
Just turned off his picture. Now I can't remember what I was going to say. It had to do with the Harry J. Anslinger and the UN. Yeah, the countries like Spain suddenly decided to make it, to decriminalize it in order to get around that treaty they had signed years ago. And so that's what countries do. And decriminalization is what I believe in anyway, because I don't like legalization. That means that big companies come in and they, distribute the marijuana.
See, I don't know. I do believe in legalization. I believe it should be regulated. I should believe that potencies should be regulated.
But what about it needs to be regulated?
Because you don't need to sit there and make it into crack.
Yeah, and you regulate alcohol.
Wait, you don't want to sit there and make
regulate
it,
taxes on it so it can go to...
Hold on a second, Jason. Marijuana isn't crack.
The way that it's become, right now, today's marijuana is a hell of a lot stronger than what, in my time, when I was a kid, man, I could smoke down on a joint, be passing around 4, 5, 6 times with my buddies.
Yeah.
Now, one hit, done.
Yeah, one and done.
It's very strong. And I don't believe in edibles. I don't believe that edibles should be legal. Because those are so easy for a kid to get a hold of, and maybe possibly there has been no recorded deaths because of marijuana. But if you have edibles and a kid gets a hold of it, maybe there might start to be.
Well,
because they make it into candy. It's designed for a kid's going to want to eat it. That's not right.
I refuse to believe in taking the rights away from adults because of something might hurt kids. It's the responsibility of the parents to make sure their kids are safe.
Hey, do you believe in gun rights?
Huh? No.
Believe in gun regulation?
No, not at all.
You don't believe in gun regulation?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I believe in absolute gun regulation. No guns at all.
Oh, hey, but that why? Because it hurts people. If you have a drug out there that people are sitting there genetically altering that could possibly hurt people, I believe you should regulate it.
Well, marijuana is not what I would call something that I would regulate. Okay, it's just not that dangerous. I agree with you. The kind of weed they're growing today is far stronger than the weed they used to grow.
And you had your own experience with the edibles too.
Well, I had my own experience with edibles, although the recent edibles that I've seen have a little warning on them saying only take a little bit and see how it affects you, and then measure your dose based on that.
And
it says it right on the package.
That 4-year-old kid that gets into it, he's going to read that too and be like, "Oh, I should only take a little bit."
I refuse to sanitize my world for parents who don't do their job.
Well, if you're going to go by that theory, Jason, then if you have prescription drugs in the house, kids can get to those too.
But they're not going to want. It's not flavored like candy. My prescription drugs don't taste good. It's not a sucker. It's not chocolate.
What about Tide Pods?
That's just Darwinism.
That's just right. That's Darwinism.
They fall off the washer. The kids go after them like candy.
Well, I mean,
because they're brightly colored, and they should probably change that too.
But my point.
I mean, I'm just throwing a devil's advocate out there.
I agree with you about the fact that I think the edibles have to be at least has to have packaging that says things on it to warn you about.
People aren't responsible enough to take that responsibility into their own hands that their kids can't get it.
But I'm not.
And that's just
I'm not going to sanitize the world because people are fucking idiots.
That's right.
Right,
especially nowadays, though, that there are more idiots that are parents nowadays. I'll tell you.
There have been idiots for years. And we hear more about all the shit that happens now that you didn't hear about.
Ridiculous.
The world has become such a small place with media and all the ways we hear about stuff. I don't think much has really changed. It's just that everything is there now in your face.
These parents are still locking their kids in cars and on
I was
going to
say that. I was going to say that.
My GPS has my Waze. There's a setting in there. Do you want a reminder that you have a kid in the car?
Yeah. What the hell you need that for?
I mean, because people
are just in the back seat.
I never have to worry. I never have to worry about having a kid in the car. I don't have any.
Yeah, me either.
But I'm just saying. I've never understood that. I don't know.
That's what you think, Rebel Fano.
Well, I don't understand.
It just happened right
forget
down
about
the street
kids.
here.
What's with these people?
The last heat wave we had at Target. Yeah. Everybody's on the Facebook going, "Oh, they just found a kid in a car in a hot rod." You know what? What are you waiting for the cops to come for?
Break the window.
Break the damn window.
Yeah. Or, but also, how about people leave their pets in hot cars?
Pets, same thing. Yeah. I leave notes on windows several times.
There was one parent whose kid died in a car, and the reaction to that was from the parent, I didn't know the kid was back there.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. How do you have like a 3-year-old kid and you don't know he's in the back seat?
And the excuse is, parents are busy nowadays. Really?
Well, maybe the problem is that we force parents to put their kids in the back seat because that's supposedly the safest place in a car seat. But if they had car seats for the front seat, at least the parents would know the kids were right next to them, and they couldn't use that as an excuse.
I'd still put them in the back seat because it is a safer place.
What, the back seat?
I always put my kids in the back seat. My kids don't even know what the front seat is.
But if you had a rig that would make it so that they can't get out of that front seat, that if there was an accident.
I've told my daughter, even to this day, she's 13 years old, she sits on the side in the back, and I got a F-250 pickup truck. It takes a tank to beat that thing.
Yeah. Driver's side or passenger side?
She will still sit in the middle of the back.
Oh, okay. But you're a decent parent. She's back there, right?
Yeah.
She made it to 13, yeah.
Yeah. Check your cargo for Christ's sake.
And it's amazing how many kids every year get killed in hot cars. It is it's astounding.
It's ridiculous.
It's usually people who are out of their norm. Somebody was supposed to take the kid to school but couldn't, so somebody else did, and they get sidetracked and they don't think about it because they don't normally do this and they're in a rush, and that's what happens.
But what about the lady down the street that goes to Target and just gets out of the car and goes in?
Yeah.
Well, that's just stupidity.
Jason?
Exactly, that's my point.
Jason?
I just wanted to put this out there because I know I haven't called in a while, and it was one of the shows I was listening to, and it was about with guns and cars. They always compare the two with guns and cars. Cars kill people too. They are doing something about cars. They are trying to take the driver out of the picture and try to make cars so they're automated so that the cars have more responsibility than the human does and not kill people. But they're not doing that with guns.
So far, the problem they have with automation in cars is that the people who do have it think that the car is now, they don't have to do as much driving or be aware of what's going on. And it doesn't mean that just because your car is driving itself, you shouldn't be aware of where it's going and what it's doing because you may have to take over.
But eventually the car will be doing everything and you will be doing nothing.
Long time from now. Long time. I'll be dead.
Yeah, they're questioning.
10 years.
No way.
They're questioning whether it's going to be.
It's going to be sooner than later.
No way. No way. First of all, what are you going to do with every car on the road that has to drive? That you need to drive.
No, that's the later part of it. That's
The
what they're gonna
cars will have
to get rid of that
sensors
part.
to keep distance from those cars that don't communicate with them.
Yeah.
Boy,
It's going to be a lot later than sooner.
I hate to
but-
say this. I hate to say this, and I may sound like an old fart in saying this, but there's a pleasure to driving.
I agree with you. I love
do
driving.
too. I love it.
I hate it, but I would feel more comfortable because that's the way I was raised, as me controlling that wheel and that throttle than a machine.
Me too. I
But-
drove for a living and I loved it.
I do love it.
Yeah, I love taking long trips and going out to the countryside and driving through
Yep.
it. And not for speeding or anything like that. I do it at a nice, reasonable rate. But I just,
Right, absolutely, I love it.
But you
I
think
still- I
about
still-
you think
Go
about someone that's handicapped that can't drive. Look at the freedom it would give somebody like that.
Oh, I just think about my mother, who we took her driving privileges away, and it's killing her. She hates it.
I'm about getting close to doing that with my my mom, and then I got a friend that's going to be in a wheelchair pretty soon with ALS, and he's not going to be able to drive. And he was a driver like me, and he's going to end up in a wheelchair and not be able to drive. And if he can't drive, I know he's going to go nuts.
Phil
Why
has his
do
hand.
rich people want chauffeurs?
So they can get drunk and go
Because
home.
they don't want to drive.
Because when you can afford it, driving is for the masses. I would much rather sit in the back seat, relax, read a book, listen to some music, and tell the guy where to
Apparently
go.
you
Let
never-
him worry about
Apparently,
finding
you
parking
never
space.
took a fun-filled road trip, Phil.
I love driving.
see,
Hey,
but Phil,
I've driven across the country.
I drove
see,
across
Phil,
the
I'd rather
country.
be that guy driving that rich person around.
I drove across the country with my
Take
friend
minimum
Shecky,
wage?
and we had a great time. That was just a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's different strokes.
People who love cars are going to always love
Well,
to drive.
you
Nothing
know-
like I love getting behind the wheel of my Vet and just cruising on a country road. There's nothing like it. It's not driving in traffic every morning, going to work, stop and go. No, nobody likes that. But the ability to get into a car and feel it hug the road and make a nice turn in the car and just glide, I love that.
Or an old car with a nice
And
motor
by the
in
way,
it,
Phil, to
something
answer
like
your
that,
question about why do people have chauffeurs, it's because they're pricks. Yes, Jason.
I still think they're doing wrong investments and doing self-driving cars. I think it's going to be drones. By the time they get the self-driving car right, the technology for drones to be shuttling people around is going to be out there.
Well,
it's just going to be drones.
Then the Russians will figure a way to drop the people from the drones. All
Yeah,
at
there you
once.
No, but I agree with you.
They'll have a plot drop.
I do agree with you about drones. There are some ideas of like drone taxis, for example.
Yeah,
It'll
they were
look
talking
like a
about-
telephone booth with fucking blades on the top of it.
Yeah, they were talking about Uber having those pod cars that fly. You put 4 people in them, and they pick them up and take them from one spot to another on top of buildings and stuff.
Well,
and the driver beats you up.
To begin with, drones probably would be safer even than helicopters because of just the nature of how they take off in the land. You know, they don't just go crashing. You know,
Unmanned drones, huh?
Well,
they'll be manned. They'll be shipping men around.
you know something?
Yeah.
Your airplane flight, when you take an airplane somewhere, is mostly automated.
Yeah, except the most critical spots.
Well, not even the
Take
most
off and
critical
landing.
spots. All of that is
That's mostly computerized as well.
Yes, but you know why we have a pilot there? So you feel good.
Well,
You
like
know.
Sullenberger.
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah, somebody who can take
In
over.
an emergency.
He had to
you know,
take
in an
over, yeah.
emergency. But basically, I could land a plane. I just say, "Hey, bring me in." You know.
Yeah, it's programmed.
Yeah, so.
You'd be surprised how much it's programmed.
Yeah, but you like to know there's somebody there. And I think the same thing's true with automated cars. People would like to know they have some control over it. Yes, Jeff?
When I was in Italy, the driver had a small bus, but it was a bus. And he got pulled over by the police because he didn't have the belt on top. And they went through him. It took an hour to get
How
rid
much
of
did he have to pay?
I don't know.
That's what the police do in Italy. They shake you down.
That's just like in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Well, I got
same as the Philippines. It's corrupt.
When I came
pay
back,
off the cops and
when I came back to New York, I got a ticket from Florence, Italy, in the mail because
Really?
they had taken a photograph of me going down a street at a certain time. You weren't supposed to go down the street, but how was I to know? I can't read the street signs.
Did you pay it?
Souvenir.
Yeah, I paid it. I want to go back there and rent a car again sometime, maybe.
They did that to me in Pennsylvania on a toll road.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
Yeah. I ripped right through a toll road and didn't know it. I looked up and I said, "I wonder what that sign was."
Now I was hoping Ray would call tonight. He usually does, but he's not tonight because he had a pissing match going on my Facebook page with Phil, and I would love to have had that pissing match play itself out here on the air, but apparently Ray isn't calling, so you know.
Yeah, we were talking about. South Africa, what's happening to those farmers, and that, and I basically made the argument that people are being boxed into the corner because these guys are white, and they're being attacked by blacks, and therefore it's
well, if you believe
Ray said it was bigotry.
If you
to
believe that,
protect the whites,
so you don't like that the indigenous people are beating the occupiers?
The indigenous people really
welcome to America. That's what us Mexicans are doing. We're going to beat you slowly by marrying your daughters.
Are you MS-13?
I think he is. I don't think maybe he can't count that high.
Right?
You know what Jason's doing is he's causing global warming. If you look behind him, he has a ride-on lawnmower. And these ride-on lawnmowers are
zero turn, nice efficiency.
Right,
That's
but
nice.
they produce the carbon footprint and create global warming. And
nice to get that lecture from you.
I'm just trying to make it feel like my motherland of Mexico.
Yeah, I mean,
you landowners.
You the guy who venerates an asshole who is taking back all the regulations that kept us from coughing. You know?
That's so Jason can have that polluting device behind him.
How often do you use that polluting device, Jason?
Once a week.
Okay, so I don't think he's really. And for how long?
Half hour.
Okay, so I don't think he's polluting more than anything else does. So.
Wait, hey Phil, I have to tell you about my local power company. They're rebuilding a power plant. They're calling it 3 power plants in one because they're going to be doing natural gas, solar, and wind out of the same power plant.
Yeah.
And the natural gas, they say, is 70% more efficient than any clean coal powered plant. 70%. It's in their own interest. Coal is dead.
Well, I want a Toyota Mirai. I keep looking at them. I keep going online and seeing what they look like in different colors, and those are the ones that are hydrogen cars. But they need a few more gas stations. They only get about 320 miles on a tank.
And the gas stations are 500 miles between each other.
20 miles. The closest one is San Ramon.
My work truck was a natural gas truck. It could be easily converted to hydrogen, but it was there's so few stations, and they kept on going down all the time. It just wasn't feasible.
Look who's here.
How safe are those in collisions, though?
They're supposed to be
they're
very
fine.
safe.
They say that you could shoot the tank with a freaking gun, and it's not gonna. Unless it was a tracer.
I used to do that portion where I worked, and the tanks are 5,500 psi tanks, and they're built like a brick shithouse.
Look who's
so what I was thinking when I lived in Silicon Valley, Phil, this is a big deal because Southern California, all the really rich asshole freaking movie people got their hydrogen stations years ago. And nobody in Northern California got any hydrogen stations until recently. But my idea was all you have to do, because our buses are all hydrogen, is to tap a line across from on 237 and just tap a line from the bus trans terminal and then bring it across the street, and then the regular people could have natural gas. Nobody ever thought was a good idea.
Power to the people.
They just built a reformer in Santa Clara, so there'll be more coming.
Well, let me.
So it's
the company I work for has them, and they're going to put a bunch of stations in Northern California. The reason they didn't build more in Northern California is because the grants ran out.
I like the idea
movie stars had them.
that water comes.
Yeah, they
out
got
of
them all
the
down
tailpipe.
south because I was down there trying to set up some of the stations.
It was the movie stars, and so what they did is they petitioned was it Honda or BMW to bring those cars into Southern
Toyota.
California.
It was Toyota.
It's Toyota.
Yeah,
No,
and
it was one of one of the really high-end cars because a bunch of the really snotty Hollywood people wanted it, so they banded together in their.
Well,
BMW
Lexus is
or
one of the
whatever it
higher
was.
end cars that Toyota makes, but the stations that they put in down there were pretty primitive too. They were pulling in hydrogen tube trailers and tying them to the ground.
So Jason,
Yeah, we didn't have it in Northern California.
Jason had his hand up. Yes, Jason.
I was gonna say with the natural gas stations though, it's $1 million per pump, so that's why they're not as prevalent.
Oh, see, it was just so close, and I figured the truck has to stop there anyway.
How? By the way, you're on the Big Island of Hawaii. How are you doing with the?
So I heard Jim earlier. So by the way, I listen to you guys when I start, but at 5 o'clock I have to jump off to watch the weather. So Jim's side got the worst, and is still getting the worst. I think our highest wind shear was about 70 miles an hour. It was like 67, but I'm bumping up. We still had quite a few wind problems today. We lost power last night and today. And there's a few roads that have rock slides on them, but they're minor ones, like as in it could be cleaned up in like an hour kind of thing, not that you have to bring a bulldozer in or anything like that. So basically, if you don't have to go outside, they want your ass inside, and everybody seems to be playing that game.
And that's what you're doing. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's already stopped raining. When Jim was on, it was raining. And then what I just heard on the news is it's no longer a hurricane, it's a tropical storm. So everybody on Oahu and Kauai can have a big sigh of relief.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Because it's not going to hit them as hard.
A few years ago, a big storm hit Kauai. You remember that? Huh?
1992.
Yeah,
it was a Nikkei.
And you know what was finishing up filming at that time?
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
They almost they got it finished, but it had a problem, you know. But but Kauai literally was leveled.
Didn't Kauai get flooded like 2 years ago?
No, Kauai.
No, Kauai.
Yeah, Kauai just got 50 inches of rain in May in 24 hours.
Oh my!
It just got
the
killed.
road was out.
Oh yeah.
Well,
how was the sewer systems then?
No, man, people don't even have houses to live in. They don't have places to shit. So they do.
Speaking of sewer systems, and I don't want to be too graphic about this, but today I hadn't gone to the bathroom in several days. I took what we could call one of the most enormous dumps I've ever taken in my life. Okay.
You mean bowel movements?
A dump, I think, is a better way to describe this one. Okay.
Okay. Why go pyro?
Was it long?
Major submarines.
Yes, it was long, and it was long and it was thick. Okay. Now let me just say this. So what I did was, as you normally do, I flushed the toilet. Guess what?
It came back up.
The toilet completely plugged up.
It rejected your poop.
And I must have plunged it for a fucking hour before I could get that stuff loose.
Oh, wow. Thank you for the visual.
Well, no, but I had to tell you about its size before I told you that I had a absolute plugged up toilet, you know.
Did you take a picture?
No, I didn't take a picture.
Yeah, Kevin, we went down.
I would like to see it.
Geez, I only went down for water. I come back and there's. I won't even ask.
Go online, Phil. Look up Anaconda. Look up Anaconda, and you will get an idea of what this looked like. Okay.
So I heard you earlier talking about there hasn't been that many hurricanes in Hawaii, and there's actually been quite a few.
Really?
It's the bulk of them don't make land.
That's what I said.
Yeah. They just don't. There have probably been like 10 hits.
Well, if you
on all the islands, but they just don't hit them.
If you think about it, the Hawaiian Islands are kind of a dot in the Pacific, you know. So there's a lot of Pacific out there.
Alex was trying to make a case for global warming and the recent hurricanes.
Well, let's talk about this. Actually, we were really, really worried about this. Remember last year, the hurricane in Houston, right? Where it was very, very large, or a good size, and it had half of its hurricane, or some of its hurricane, or some of the mass is over the water and some of the mass was over the land. And what it was doing is it was going over the water and picking up a whole bunch of water and then going over the land and then dropping the water on the land. And that's where the flooding came in. They were really worried because this was a very, very slow hurricane, like 2 miles, 5 miles. They were very worried we were going to get that Galveston flooding situation, but it didn't. Hopefully it won't.
Well, the flooding situation in Houston also happened because they built a lot of homes on areas where they never should have. They were lowlands. And,
I agree with that.
And, you know, when I lived in Houston, that area was nobody lived there. Okay? And as the years have gone on, for instance, the center of Houston has moved like 12 miles north. You know, so because of all the building, and they built on land that shouldn't have been built on because that was land that, in case a storm like that were to happen, you know, it was going to be a disaster, which of course it was. But what I'm saying, and Phil, global warming has to do with the heating of the water, and when the water temperature gets warm, hurricanes are more abundant.
And they're slow. They're bulkier. Yeah. Is what we're finding out.
Yeah.
Is what we're finding.
Are those curtains, Renee, or are they protection
Absolutely.
for the wind?
Who wants to see a boarded up house?
Ah, okay, that's what it is. Okay.
You got a nice house.
So you boarded up.
Yep, I did.
Due to the wind.
Well, when it hit a Cat 4, so all of the rest of the emergency stuff I've already done. But when it hit a Category 4 and it was headed for Hilo, if it was a Category 4 and it hit land, it was going to be a bad idea. So I boarded up. So I'm going to take it all down tomorrow. But Phil, I was actually going to ask you a question. I wanted to go around the thing and ask everybody, what's in your go bag? Meaning that if somebody told you had to leave the house right now, you've got 5 minutes to get your shit and get it out. What's in your go bag? What's that?
My wife and my son.
45 caliber and 2 boxes of ammo.
He's waiting for the apocalypse.
How about you, Rob? Do you have a go bag?
I don't have a go bag. I'm staying here and I'm dying with everybody. Fuck it.
Good for you.
I don't believe in all this apocalyptic bullshit.
I have found.
Jeff, do you have a go bag?
I have been through a number of things like earthquakes and things where the area has been shut down for 3 or 4 days. San Francisco, Alex went through it. I find that if you go 100 miles away, it's like it never happened. So my go bag is to get into the car and get the hell out and stay at a hotel somewhere in Stockton or L.A. or wherever it's away from what's going on, because it isn't going to do me any good to be here.
I don't think that's the nature of the question.
It's okay.
You know, hey, you check into a nice hotel.
No, but that's not the name. We're talking about go bags.
His go bag is money.
Just say you don't have a go bag. I don't have a go bag. Do you have one, Jason? No, you don't have one.
I have a credit card.
You don't have one, do you, Kevin?
No.
Does anybody have extra cash on hand in case there's no ATMs?
Oh, I have extra cash on hand.
I have gold in my safe and I have MREs in my closet.
I like the MRE.
A go bag was something that they suggested after 9/11, working in Manhattan, was to keep comfortable shoes and a change of clothes and stuff at your desk. So if you had to, leave the office and you were going to be walking a long way, make sure you had some snacks, make sure you had a comfortable pair of shoes, maybe a change of clothes, whatever.
Yeah.
How about a gas mask?
That was another one. Yeah. You're right. For a while.
They lied about that.
I'm trying to remember. In San Francisco, it was against the law to sleep naked.
To walk around naked?
No, to sleep naked. Because when they had the 1906 earthquake, people were jumping out of buildings naked.
Oh, wow, how terrible.
And since it happened at night, it was because they were sleeping and they didn't have any clothes on. So they made it against the law in San Francisco, and I think it may still be a law. They just never force it to sleep naked.
Well, I'd be arrested.
You don't have any clothes on? You sleep naked?
I like to sleep without clothes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for the visual on the film slide tonight. We've got the Alex visual about his BM and Phil's naked visual about PJs.
Well, I think the BM.
Anybody want to add to this?
The VM is less nauseating than thinking of Phil naked. So
Yeah, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I guess.
But no, I don't. I sleep with a T-shirt. Oh, a T-shirt and underpants.
Straight up boxers. Underpants are boxers.
Yeah.
It's boxers. You wear
He's
boxers.
probably whitey-tighties, I think.
No, he's not a whitey-tighty at night.
No?
Men can't wear whitey-tighty at night because it keeps their junk too warm, and that actually messes with your sperm count, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have boxers.
What sperm count?
I'm sorry.
Who uses those anymore?
1, 2.
Yeah.
I made sure I had my sperm count as 0.
Yeah, I was going to say Phil did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt.
What?
Get rid of those.
I have to say goodnight because I got to sleep upstairs with my mother tonight. She keeps calling me.
Yeah, you didn't even
give her a kiss for
me.
me.
You say you have to say goodnight. You didn't even say hello.
Oh, good night. I wanted to talk to Renee, but I'll have to
wait a minute. Start off. Wait. First, say hello.
What's that?
Say hello.
Hello.
Okay, then you can say goodbye.
Good night. Yeah.
I hear Tony with that wonderful room ambience.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, yes. Tony. Thank you for
I'll talk to you tomorrow next week.
I hear your father.
Okay, Tony.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. See, I hear your.
She came back from the hospital, so she's all worried.
Is he okay?
His kidneys are high, so they have him his kidney failure, but the points went down to like 4, but it's still not good.
Yeah.
So my mother's worried. She thinks I'm hiding something from her. I talked to them. We're not hiding anything.
Yeah.
So we don't know anything more until they can get it down. So they're running tests. So she's like a nervous wreck. So I'm going to sleep upstairs tonight.
Is he on dialysis?
No, not yet. So they don't think he has to, but they're monitoring him. So I don't know anything else. So I got to talk to the doctor probably tomorrow with my brother.
Yeah. Well,
good luck, Tony.
Well, my best thoughts to you. Okay.
I appreciate it, Alex. I'll talk to you next week, guys.
Okay. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tony.
Yeah.
He's not on dialysis. He's just on die.
Yeah, you have to be.
I wanted to.
Wait a minute, Steve. Your phone is terribly loud tonight.
Oh, hold on. Let me do it this way. It's probably better.
Just hit the mute button and then talk.
Yeah. Hit the mute button and then talk.
This is no. I had the speaker on, so.
Well, no, but you're very loud tonight for some reason.
Oh, I'll back off a little. The reason I called.
Back off further.
The reason I called is
still too loud.
I wanted to say one of the reasons that the main reason why I don't sleep without any clothes on, why I don't sleep naked, is because if it's hot and I sleep on my side. I can't sleep on my back. I hate it. And if your skin touches your skin and it's hot, it's too hot. I have to, if nothing else, at least underwear with a T-shirt or something, an undershirt, because the skin against the skin, then I get too hot.
Well, you just brought this show to a grinding halt.
Good.
But thank you for sharing. Kevin, do you want to tell us what you
Thanks for the contribution. Yes, Jason.
No.
I think you should make a show of Steve, Mike, and SG.
Yeah, and then me, and then I can just leave the room.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Oh boy!
That would be painful.
Yeah.
Maybe have Phil be the moderator.
Well, no, I was thinking of Brian. Brian would be a good moderator.
Oh, yeah.
Because every other word coming out of his mouth is fuck. So
He would even go, what the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I love that cricket.
Yeah,
It's
she
so-
recorded.
It's so nice.
How did you get excited about a cricket? Is all I wanted to know.
Who, me?
Well, Jason, when you said it, Jason's like, okay, they're excited about my cricket in the garage. What's the deal?
Well, I just, I live in New York City. When's the
You don't have
last time?
crickets?
When's the last time I ever heard a cricket? I heard
He falls
like
asleep
the
to
dirt.
gunshots.
I think once I heard a cricket cough, but that's about it. You know?
Do you hear crickets every time you did stand-up comedy?
I never did stand-up comedy.
Who
Phil.
who wrote the? I think it was in school a long time ago. It was a kid's story. It was remember the cricket in Times Square?
Can't say that I did.
Yeah, I remember the name of it, but it was like in grade school, in elementary school. Yeah.
Alex, we can send you some crickets that you can have in your house as pets.
Yeah. It could
Are
be-
those
I mean,
cicadas
wait a
or
minute.
crickets?
Now, I went to a restaurant in China.
All
Wait a minute. With Vietnam, it had Vietnamese. What did I have? Noodles and black beans, black sauce, and it was wonderful in this place. But what
With
they
fried
had,
crickets?
wait a minute,
Those black
no,
crickets.
but what they had at the entrance to the place on a table by the door were these giant crickets. And while you were eating, you would hear the crickets. In fact, if you ever go see my videotape and I'm in that restaurant, you'll hear crickets in the background. Crickets.
But aren't they dinner?
No, they're kind of in Asian cultures. They're looked upon kind of as pets. They're looked upon as good luck.
That's because they eat the dogs.
Cool.
Oh yeah, right.
Dogs.
Yeah.
No, they don't
So
eat
what's
the
the
dogs,
difference between
Steve.
a cricket and a cicada?
Huh? Oh,
Cicadas, the noise they
cicadas-
make is from rubbing their leg against their body.
the same
They
thing
only
with
do
the-
it once
And
every 7
a lot of
years.
people,
Yeah.
a lot of people mistake cicadas for. I think
Locusts.
there's one that's similar that's called a katydid.
Katie did. Yeah.
Yeah, and people oftentimes think
Oh, cicadas!
That they're cicadas,
Cicadas
yeah.
can drive you crazy. They're so noisy, in bulk. In Greece,
Yeah.
when I was on Samos on the island of Greece, they had cicadas like crazy, and you almost couldn't hear yourself think they were loud. So loud.
They have a short lifespan, and like
Yes.
Jason said, they come around, every 17 years?
They don't have a short lifespan,
Right.
Because they live for 7 years.
They do.
Their embryo or the larvae goes into the ground and they bore themselves into the ground for like 7 years, and then they come out, and then that part is short.
I
where
was
they-
there. I was
the part
there.
making noise.
I was
Yeah.
there when they came out, when they were coming out that year, and there was all that noise. It was amazing. It was just amazing. Well, we've certainly run out of topics, haven't we?
This is
I tell you what I love is bullfrogs.
Oh.
Okay.
Those sound cool.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, we have run out of topics.
Hey, so I have to ask. There was a show I was listening to on the intersection with Steve,
Mm-hmm.
and you were talking about seeing UFOs. I just had to
Oh,
ask,
yeah.
were you blind at that time too?
Same eyesight, yeah, but you can't miss a light. I still think the people who.
I'm sorry, Steve. It was a joke.
I know.
What if you were really on the freeway and it wasn't a UFO?
No, this was right over my house. It was no way it was a weather balloon. This was a bright, bright light.
Nice.
Yeah, my eyes are bad, but they're not that bad. I'm telling you, it looked like when they throw the color of the light.
So they're good enough. They're good enough that you know when you're finished wiping your ass, right?
Right. The color of the light, except that it didn't sparkle, is like when they throw a flare down on the road with that. It was like that red, pinkish,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no sound. And
Phil, do it again.
No, that there was no sound. all I could see was the light, and it looked really like it was not too far, maybe 30 feet above the house, and it just stopped. I don't know what that could have been. I have no idea. Yeah. I just don't know.
They have the new helicopters that have been around recently because they knew the storm was coming, so some of the military branched out to the other islands. And Kevin, remind me to tell you the cool thing I saw about the truck. Anyway, one of the Osprey flew over the house, and it's like, that's just the weirdest sounding thing. And then you realize it's not a regular helicopter. That's why it sounds different.
The Osprey is a plane. An Osprey is a plane that can land vertically, right?
Yeah. And when you see those rotors going, it's pretty wild. So it sounds a little bit like a helicopter, but it's so far off of its norm, you have to stop and go, what the heck was that?
The
and then
British,
you look up and it's gone.
the British had one that started with an H. I forgot the name of it, but it
That's
also.
what I was starting to wonder too. The Hilo or the.
No, it wasn't the Hilo.
Harrier.
Harrier.
Yeah, that's
Harrier.
it. The Harrier jets.
That one's badass.
Yeah.
I would say the most likely would then what you just said it was probably something military.
Yeah, we have to watch that over here because some of they do exercises here, so you kind of got to watch before you open your mouth and say, "Damn, did you see that light last night?" Yes, they were blowing stuff up down the street.
Well, let's get back to cigars.
Yeah. Yes. Which I've only smoked probably 4
Hey
or
Renee,
5
do you like cigars?
I've tasted before. I have. And they're not bad. It just depends on the taste. I've gotten I've had one from Cuba, some South Africa. And I was thinking about this the other day. There's a liquor store that sells cigars from Kauai, which I had no idea Kauai. I mean, I knew they had tobacco plants, but I didn't know they sported cigars. So there's hand-rolled Kauai cigars.
Oh, good. Hey, listen, let me mention something before we get out of here tonight, and that is that I'm doing this show on Sunday on Westwood 1, and we will be taking calls. They're going to be short, though. It's not going to be like
what time will it be on?
I'm not telling you.
6 a.m.
Okay.
6
Do not call Steve. Okay.
I won't.
Please
I
don't
promise.
call.
And we have to use our adult words for this group?
Yes, you have. It's adult conversation, and not adult conversation. Well, it's clean.
Yeah,
no curse words.
I mean, it's radio.
There's going to be somebody.
Internet.
There's going to be somebody in Philadelphia who can push a button and bleep you out, but I don't want them to have to work overtime. Okay.
I will listen, but I won't.
Okay, fine. Thank you. If you want to call, they're going to be short calls, and you may have to wait online for a while before you can talk. It's it's terrestrial. Sure. It's terrestrial. What? What do you mean sure?
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean sure? What is that supposed
to
mean?
You're going to let him on?
Even Rush Limbaugh doesn't get enough callers.
From what I understand from Walter, he gets quite a few.
Really?
Yeah. Jeff.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, what's the station in Philadelphia?
It's not Philadelphia, it's Washington. WMAL.com you go to.
WMAL in Baltimore?
In Maryland.
Well, they're in Baltimore, yeah. And you can listen to it there. Listen live.
630 kilocycles.
Yeah, something like that. Doesn't matter.
You're
going on the internet. Yes.
AM?
Right.
Yes, AM. Jason.
So it was been in my head. You've been keep on talking about that. You might talk about age discrimination in your job in the radio and stuff. If you ever think you have any hope whatsoever of getting a radio job, do you think it's really a good idea to sit there and say how you've been discriminated against because you're old?
Well, that's part of the reason I'm doing it, is that I want to say that this is a career killer. And then I'm going to do something on radio. I'm going to do something.
If you want to do some fill-ins or something like that, I am the first person to sit there and jump up and open my mouth about injustices. But
I've been
time,
hey, look. First of all, I've been sitting here for 5 fucking years and nobody's called me. Okay, that's for starters. And the only guy that wait a minute, the only guy that's asked me to do it is Walter, and he may have me do it again. Okay, so
Sabo?
No.
Yes.
Walter Cronkite.
Walter Cronkite, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So
I don't think so.
that's going to be part of the premise of what I'm doing. Is I'm going to say that before the show is over, I'm going to do something that's so injurious to my career that nobody else would dare do it. That the movie stars don't tell you how old they are. Radio people, television people don't tell you how old they are. Most people lie about their age. Okay, and most people are in fear of losing their jobs because people will find out they're too old.
It's true.
And this is the one discrimination that takes place in this country we do nothing about.
It takes place in your industry, but I have
takes
found
place
in sales.
It takes place everywhere, Phil.
Every industry, Phil.
Everywhere,
It does.
Phil.
I don't know what maybe not in flooring or whatever, but I'm telling you, most people. Forget about just my business. Most people can't find a job after 50.
Yep. Walk away, Phil, and try to get a job.
Yeah. I'd like to hire a few people over 50. Maybe they have a work ethic.
Okay, I'll be up. I'll
that's
apply.
very nice, Phil, but that doesn't mean that's the way things are. And so, I'm just going to talk about the fact that it's, I'm not going to play with it and not be serious about it, but I'm going to say, hey, you listen to my voice. If you didn't know how old I was, how old would you think I was?
76.
Oh, shut the fuck up!
No, you, Alex, you sound
old.
54.
You sound like you're in 40s or 50s.
105.3.
Most people say my voice has not changed in the last 20 years.
I don't
really
think
hasn't.
Yeah.
I don't. No, it sounds good.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, I'm not going to tell people guess how old I am because they'll go to Google and find out. You'll go to Wikipedia and find out. But I'm going to wait till the end of the show to tell them how old I am. But I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to do something that's a little off the beaten track with the show.
Yeah.
That other people wouldn't do.
Any contests?
No.
Well,
and guess the magic number.
I've spoken to people that I know that are in HR or in temporary businesses that are fill temporary positions and stuff, and they won't say it on the record, but off the record they say it happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I talked to them because I was looking for a job myself, and
Kevin, if
18 years worth of.
If you were any younger, you couldn't play Santa Claus.
Right.
But,
if I shaved off my beard, I wouldn't look.
Jason had his hand up. Yes, Jason.
I was going to say, when I remember the first time I listened to you on Sirius, that the only thing that gave your age away was like the theme music and stuff that you were playing. I was like, oh man, this must be some old guy or something. It was a Great American Broadcast, music.
But that particular thing I would have played when I was 18.
I know you would have because you're that old.
No, the Great American Broadcast was. I thought
if
when
you were
I heard
18 today,
when I heard it, I said that's the perfect theme song. Because if I don't if I don't use it, some right-wing asshole is going to use it, and I want to appropriate it first.
They'll use it anyway.
But then you think about.
I don't think when the movie was out, I don't think Alex was even born.
I wasn't. No, I wasn't alive when it came out. It came out in 1933, 34.
32 or 3.
Yeah. So
Then you think about the days of Live 105 when they played the music there, and they think, "Who's this old fart?" Right?
Yeah. But the thing I thought about the other day, and it's something that bears mentioning. When I was born, there was no television.
Wasn't television invented in like 1925?
Sure,
but it wasn't in the mainstream.
Very early.
They didn't. You couldn't go out and buy a television set till about 1948. Okay.
Yeah.
And we got ours in 1950 because television hit San Francisco about 1949. Okay. In my lifetime, I've gone from no television to carrying it around in my hand.
Yeah. We had black and white.
Unbelievable.
That's what I remember, black and white.
And
big thing to get the color.
And I may be old, but I'm not so old that it's amazing how much has changed in just my lifetime.
Yeah, even in mine.
And
I'm only 52.
I think that if my parents were to say how much had changed from the time they were born, it wouldn't be as much of a jump as has happened in my lifetime.
They might not measure it in technology. Their jump might have been infrastructure.
Well, I mean, when my father was born, he was born in 1906. Automobiles were just starting to
airplane,
automobiles up to automatic
No
washers and stuff.
Yeah, no paved roads, shit like that.
And by the time he died, my father had several cars in his lifetime. So I mean, but I think the seed change of what's happened over my lifetime is amazing.
In the last 20 years, there's been such a big jump.
It's been big crazy in the last 20, 30 years, yeah.
Somebody said that, every so often we exponentially grow further. Isn't there something, Rob, in the
Moore's
industry?
Law.
Tell them Moore's Law.
Moore's Law is
speed.
Yeah, the speed in which technology advances.
Speed of processors will double every year and a half.
But but in general, the speed of technology, there's and I don't know what the numbers are, but the speed of technology is like a snowball effect. It started out.
I thought he worked for Intel.
Intel.
More?
Yeah, and it had to do with processors doubling every year and a half.
I think it had to do with processors, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, they're at the point now. They're at the point now where they can't really do anything until they get off of the copper. Right? The next thing is going to be photonics.
Yeah, because they've gone big with the wafers and everything else, yeah.
Heat's gotten to be a problem. And so really to get to the kind of processing that we're going to need in the next 20 years, it's going to be about switching to photonics.
And what are photonics exactly?
So it's light. It's light. It's fiber. It's changing the way computers work. HPE right now is my company is doing some really, really groundbreaking things, what we call the machine. It's the next generation of computers, and and the backbone of it is called photonics. So instead of having these buses on your computer where you've got processors that are tied to memory via this copper, it's all going to be, at some point, it's going to be like racks of CPU and racks of memory that are tied together via photonics, so that you're not tied down to right now what the copper piece that is really the right now that's the thing that's killing technology.
Well,
from getting
going
to the next.
in and out of say your processors, you go to copper, right?
Right now, everything is copper, right? Yeah. And when that's gone and we've switched to photonics,
now the chips themselves aren't copper.
No. The chips are actually silicon, right?
Yeah.
Copper is what makes all the connections on the circuit boards.
So what you want to do is instead of using copper, use light.
Using light, using photonics. That's the next big thing.
And I would imagine that all machines would run probably without any heat, right?
Be a lot less heat generated, correct?
Yeah, because I mean, most computers, even to this day, I mean, laptops. People always complain about laptops that they're so damn hot on the bottom. I mean, you can't really put them on your lap, without
computers. The way we know computers in the next 10 or 15 years is going to change dramatically, and it's going to start with the big machines for the data centers and all that. It'll eventually work its way down into personal computers. Although you get to a point where how fast do you need a personal computer to be?
What was that?
Train.
That was a train.
Thank you.
Is that coming from you, Steve?
Yeah, the trucks run right behind. It's one of the reasons I got the place.
Why is it? You are the noisiest person we have on this show. There is more noise. There's always traffic or trains going through your bedroom and whatever.
They don't usually
go through my bedroom.
Usually deaf people get an apartment near noisy trains.
Right.
Blind people usually go for places that have a lot of light shining in the window. You know?
Yeah, no, I got the light, but I got what I could afford.
Yeah.
And it needs a lot of help, and I need a lot of help, and I'm not.
Amen.
Yep.
Who said that?
Jason.
Is that Jason? Jason.
It was Damien.
Wait, no, Damien isn't on here, is he?
No, Jason is Damien.
Yeah, so it's Damien's birthday week, right?
It's Damien's birthday week. So he took the whole week off because it's his birthday. So. I'm going to take a day off I'm going to take a day off, I think, in October, or is it early November, because we're going to see this play that Gina Gershon is in. Have you heard about this? The thing about the Trumps? And she plays Ivanka.
Oh, my God.
She plays Ivanka and does it perfectly, does it absolutely spot on perfect.
This could be really good.
Yeah.
What's its name?
Great.
I think it's called something like the Trump TV special or something like that. And it's
I thought you were going to be taking off like a week, Alex, and going to up to Vermont and all that.
Well, that was canceled.
Oh.
Because my wife's business has to move, and she's part of the move. So
why don't you still just take off that week and go back to San Francisco?
I don't know. I got to take a week soon. But if I take a week and then I go somewhere without her, you know.
That'd be perfect. Go to San Francisco, help out Bubs, give him a little internet, something going on, and just check out your old shit, man.
You want to get rid of me, right, Jason? Is that it?
No, I
think
you
come
you'll
down
have
this way. You got a place to stay. We'll go to Monterey.
You'll have stories to tell.
Yeah. Well, it was not a bad idea, actually.
I would love to see you go walk around.
I would go for no other reason
no
other reason than to see Phil, and Kevin.
Yeah, come on down.
We could all get together for lunch. Who's paying?
I'll pay. We'll go to Monterey.
Not Phil or Alex, because they're both Jews.
Oh, hey, Jason.
I guess I'm stuck.
Watch it. Why? I never could figure it out. Why is it the Jews were always referred to as cheap, but the Scotch were thrifty? What's the difference?
We know.
Yeah.
They wear skirts.
Yeah. What's the difference? Yeah.
I don't know. Thrifty. I guess thrifty sounds nicer.
Yeah.
It's the person who told the story.
The Irish are just
anyway. The one guy in this group we haven't talked. we haven't really talked at all about politics tonight. The one guy here who is just sick and tired of politics is Rob. Right, Rob?
Yep.
And I think I'm really with you now, and I'll tell you why. I'm watching MSNBC today. And for the whole, hold on a second, and then I turned over to CNN and I turned over to Fox, and every fucking story for every minute of the hour was about Trump.
Even on Fox?
On Fox, although they
were covering all of the stuff that was been going on this past week.
They tended to go with other.
It wasn't about John McCain.
Let me finish. They mentioned him briefly.
Yeah,
but that happened. That happened after I started watching this, and they start at the beginning of the hour with a Trump story, and they go from one Trump story to another Trump story to another Trump story, bashing him all the way, to the point where I'm going, I'm not feeling sorry for Trump, but this is going overboard.
I agree with you. I will. Here's something that just came to me while I was listening to CNN last week with all the stuff that was going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to one of the pundits who said, I don't even know that it matters anymore what Trump does. There have been times when I thought that this was going to be the straw that broke the camel's back and nothing happens. And I stopped and thought about that for a moment. And I thought the reason why that is because the people who are listening to you're preaching to the choir. It's the other side so back in the day of Watergate, we heard news from 6 to 6:30 at night on 3 networks, and we all basically got the same news. So what you heard, you went, Richard Nixon, really all this is going on, and this one is an informant, and this one is this. And today you get 2 completely different sides of the story, and people like Phil don't believe what they hear on CNN or MSNBC, and the people like me don't believe what they hear on Fox. So it doesn't matter what you report.
But you know what? You know what's still, if you watch the 6:30 news, they still have a variety of stories. It's not like the whole newscast is nothing but Trump
That's
stuff.
still the same, yeah.
Yeah, that they have maintained.
Yeah,
a
that
certain,
really hasn't changed.
But nobody watches that like they used to. That was
That's
the
right.
only place to get
The only
your
people
news.
who watch it are old people. That's why nothing but drug companies advertising on it.
I believe what's happening today is that this is a civil war, but instead of fighting it with muskets, they're using news, information, disinformation, selective news stories, and this is the way it's being fought from both sides.
I think
and I
you're,
really
I think you're
believe
wrong.
this is a
It's
civil
not
war,
a civil
and it's
war.
here to divide us.
It's not a civil war. Rob, then Jeff, then
No,
Jason.
You have spoken.
I didn't have my hand up first. Jason had his
Okay,
hand up
Jason,
before me.
then
I was just curious. Is this a fake news thing, or is this true about the White House was shut down because a TV was thrown out of a window the other day?
I think that's
I
a
heard
fake news
that.
story.
It's
Who
probably
knows
fake.
if that's true? Who knows?
I haven't seen it.
Yes. Then now, Rob.
So I was listening to the show I watched the show you had on the other night with Albert in the studio with you, and I have to take umbrage with something that Patrick said.
Ooh, you watch it, boy.
So Patrick, and nobody called him out on this. Is that and Patrick said that, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
I agreed with him.
Hold on, let me finish
We know
my
you
thought.
agreed with him, Phil. You don't have to say that.
Whether there's nothing there or not, nobody knows, because Mueller has been about as professional as you can be and hasn't said a word. So you don't know what he had to say. I don't know what he's found. None of us know.
Everybody-
I will tell you
Yeah.
that everybody says there's nothing there with Manafort, right? And there's nothing there with Michael Cohen. Now they're saying that the money that was paid to these porn stars and those people came out of the same slush fund that this czar from the Russian, what's his name? This all came out of this same slush fund. And they've been saying that when Trump lost all of his money, when was that, late 80s, early 90s, that he got out of that by laundering money for the Russians, okay? So the connection, and again, we don't know, but everybody is not willing to let, not everybody, but the right
everybody is second guessing what Mueller's going to come out with and how it's a lie and all that.
I did mention that. I did say that nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Because he's doing a good investigation, and
Right,
we won't
and he's-
know until he's done.
Right, and that's what I
And
mean. What
then
Patrick
when
said,
that's
there's,
done- when that's
there's
done,
nothing there. How does he know?
It's
None
going
of
to
us
be
know.
either way, then we'll all know.
Right.
He's charging people as soon as he can.
Renee?
And please
charging them, and
remember
they're
that he pulled
sticking.
another 100 subpoenas.
And now
So he's not done.
his financial guy, the Trump,
Waldenstein or something.
that now they've given him immunity.
Yeah,
that's going to hurt Trump.
Oh, he must
Two
do
of them.
something
He was
big.
mentioned
Pecker and the other guy.
in that tape when they were talking about the corporation.
Yeah.
Phil, at what point will you think that there might be where there's smoke, there's fire? I'm not. Look, I don't know the answer, and he may come out of this clean in the end. But at what point will you concede that maybe?
Have you heard of hell freezing
When there
over?
is something.
Okay.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
there is something, so
Jeff-
you're not
Jeff-
willing to listen to the pundits.
Jeff's got his
No,
hand up.
absolutely not.
Jeff?
Yeah, here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When the Congress start actually sitting down and getting enough information and starting making decisions, then process might happen.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
In the meantime, everybody on the networks is going to be ginning it up all day.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
rating.
I'm fed up with MSNBC. I mean, I was just so sick of not hearing anything. Listen, we got to run, and everybody's got their hands up. Yes, quickly,
Hey,
Renee.
Jack Bishop is next. Everybody call into his show.
Okay.
The name of the show is the first annual Trump Family Special
Yeah.
off Broadway.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Hey, listen, everybody, it's been wonderful. Phil, I got a little on your case. I'm sorry about that, but you know,
I walked away for a minute and cooled down.
Okay, good. And
it's nice that Mommy and Daddy made up.
Yeah, all you got to do is count to 10.
Rob, thank you so much. Jeff, thank you. Steve, thank you. Thank you always.
Thanks,
As
Alex.
always, Jason, we always love having you here. Wish you were here more often.
Me too.
Huh?
I said, me too.
Yeah. Kevin, thank you. And Renee, thank you as well. Why don't all of you give a big, like, giant wave goodbye so they can see your little shiny faces? That's it. See you next week, okay? Bye-bye. And if you get a chance, listen to me on Sunday or call on Sunday. I'll be on the radio on a lot of different stations. You can go to WMAL in Baltimore, WMAL.com, and you can hear the show. It'll be the Walter Sterling show that I'm doing. And you can call, too, so whatever. Hey, that's it. I got to run. Jack Bishop is next with the Intersection. 1 o'clock this morning. You got Connections. We'll see you again right after Damien returns on... I did that the other day with him. When he returns on Tuesday, he's here at 9:30. I'm here at 10 o'clock. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.